All right, so as we're the lampstand, they take this begotten Son and they give it an image. They create life around it and they mark you and sear you in your right hand. And that's where we're at now, where the Christ session of the right hand has taken place, and they've gone and marked it for the name and number and such. And this is where Kamala and Trump, they talk about, well, we can do a parallel, or where she rules us and he rules us. Okay, so we can see a parallel economy or the birth of a nation starting to take place. And then also when you count or whatever, on the 70 weeks, 3 scores, which connects us to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks and such, it lands us on the MLK 2 day, which is the 1147. Okay, but this is an overlay with the inauguration day and then the lunar year, the lunatic. All right, we got it ending there. So as that's setting up a timestamp. So when we go with the Israel peace deal, all right, 1127 broke the 1127. Take the 1 to the 27, that makes the 128. Trump's peace deal was on 1/28/2020. So either way, so from 11/27/24. You take 72 days, that takes you to 2/7/25, and then the 72 days is the 10/7/23 was the start of the war. That 7/2 is on the 7/23, okay? And then that is the 4/17 and 4/18 days from the war. Or wait, is that, no wait, my numbers here. So from the war to Thanksgiving, if you include or not include, takes us to the 4/19 or the 4/20 day. All right, so that would connect us to the Most High also in that 24-hour clock, and then Kamala being the Most High on her little Thanksgiving special video. So the 7/2 connects to the 7 weeks, 3 score in 2 weeks. So the 7 weeks and the 2 weeks. The 2029, that connects us to Apophis. Oh, and then from Adam, what is it? Adam to Jesus is 4,002 years. All right. Now, Apprentice came out in 2004. All right. That's connecting us to a clock. All right. And then Satan, the Lord God, is creating Eden, squared the garden, and those types of things. So as he squared the garden and the moon is out, the dark sun is out, he's on the other side of the world, or he's in another universe per se, setting up another thing, but there's going to be a big bang that takes this earth out, and a big bang per se that creates this new one, and that can be tied to the twofold system. But the twofold system would also be tied to like Little Rocket Man, Kim Jong-un, or those types of things. And then you have big China or big Russia come in and afterwards, or Russia first and then China. Or the physical bomb and then a money bomb and then food bomb per se, because you can't pay for anything, car bombs, you got no gas, those types of things. But that's a timestamp, and then this is where Satan knows his days are short, and the Lord God, Psalms 89, you're in the 89 of Elvis being dead, but or if he was alive, he would be 89, sorry. But the 89:11 Psalms is Lord God is the sun, and then that's the Lord God forming man and all those things. So this is where this light, the sun, the Lord God, who the dawn is the sun, the morning star, but he is coming in, and that's where he's made his nation and all those other things. But he's gathering up that age, and as he gathers up that age, a new heaven and earth is forming, and the time of Pluto from now till 2045 or whatever, the 20-year time stamp, but it's here in time. But that's going to take us from the 2000 to 2024, and then we're going to go to the 48 of Elvis being dead, to the 48 of the 48th presidency, and then that's going to take us into 2030, and then that 2030 to 2040, and then those are time stamps, and then you can see down into 2400 in a way. If you go further down, and this would be kind of like us looking down backwards in a flip-flop through reality, as we see like from 1611 to now, and then from now till 1611 to where we have like the birth of the full, like the birth of Jesus in the millennial kingdom, and AI and Christ and all these things gathering together to where this is just the alpha generation now, that first generation, to where we get through the A, B, C, D, all that way down to the 26, and this be where that birth of the start of the Jesus is coming, in a way to where the heaven and earth are going to collide, to where man reinstates his way back into the heaven, and where the invisible becomes visible, and it's working in a progression of man through 10 and 20-year time stamps, okay? But this is where we can see this is the birth of the new age, and the new age is going to take us into 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years, and this is where we see the birth of, where it tells us where Jesus reigns, the millennial kingdom is raising, the millennial generation is coming into an age where they can be into powers and all these things. So this is where, see this setting up, this foundation for these things to come and build off of, okay? So this is just a cycle of time and a cycle of man, and where we've been is not where we're going, okay? It's going to be a flip-flop on things, and the times coming forward, the Antichrist are divided, and we got the tribulous times, the troublesome times, the tribulous times in the 2025. This can be where like J.D. Vance or Trump comes out at where they're trying on a dress, or some types of things where you're shown the person you went for did a total flip-flop, and you're in a whole new arena, a whole new stage and whatever, or they're just totally missing from the stage and those types of things. So as Daniel 9, 24, 25, 26, 27 or whatever, this is playing out to where this ends in a way on one side, and then the 25, 26, and 27 overlap into the years, and then my Bible also has the 23 and 24 on the last verse for a reference, whatever they call it. Anyways, so this is also tying into that timestamp on the 9/11 I've told you about as well, because you're in the 23 year of 9/11, but that overlaps into the 25. Okay, so and then this is also where you can see if like the 25 is 52 or 25, or 23 is 32 or 23 forward or backward. It will tell you which side of the 9/11 it would be on, or like from September to December, the number would be a backwards fashion, and then or vice versa. But either or, the the George Bush, 2004, he was 58. Trump was born in 46 also. That's a 58. So that's a timestamp. That's when the apprehendus, the ape, Rentice, and all these things started with The Apprentice. So that was a timestamp where he knows he has a certain amount of time to do what he needs to do. He put his light out first, and then the American light was kind of taken out in one way where it's given a flicker, and that was the 9/11 towers, and those 9/11 towers is a twin 9/11 for the 45, 47, the election 47, those things coming, and that's going to lead to the second flicker going out, so that'd be leading to one attack, to the another attack. So this is where we're coming up into the matrix where we've seen this attack before. So is the 9/11 attack, that first attack we saw, to where the second one would be with China, or to where we have an overlay to where it's in 24 and 25, or is it just happened in 2001 and then it's going to happen again in 2025? Okay, you understand? So this is where as we get closer to the matrix collapsing in on itself, the people who have been following or whatever, they need to, who are just listening or whatever and watching, that's where y'all need to kind of have an open mind and think for yourselves and try and connect some of these points of light together on your own, to where it's said, but it's said in such a way where it's a flicker. So since the lights, we have to come out of that light. So as we're coming out of that light, not all the light shining necessarily all the time. So we might get to a dark spot here and there, to where, I shouldn't say a dark spot. I should say a shadow spot, or whatever. But either way, you understand. Hopefully, you haven't used the crayon and you haven't colored in all the spots. Either way, you got to use your own crayon sometimes, and you got to color in what the artist missed. So, in chapters 10 and 11 in Genesis, which is what we see Genesis, Exodus, all these things overlapping also in different ways. That's where we see the senile and the Moses and all these things playing before you, and that's going to give a birth to these things within the people. But the basket's already been set up to gather by the queen and the king and such. But chapter 10 and 11, that's the subsequent genealogy, and that's where it ties to the trees of Satan or Jesus and those types of things. But the 2348 connects to Noah's flood. That 23 on the 9/11, the 48, Kamala comes in. There's a issue with the old 47, that climate change, the bridegroom situation, World War III, stop on power, however the two witnesses rise to stop the rains and such. Also, all right, and since Noah's flood is in 2348 BC, we can see the 23 on 9/11 to the 48 on the next president. Okay, so that's a timestamp for the currency and the petrodollar coming back, and that's where it takes us to the 2029 on the long count for the life of the dollar, and that's where they can use the next 4 years to cool in the people into the last bit of states and whatever, as they do the divide in the bowels per se with the Kamala and Trump on the 47 election and such. But either way, we'll end it here.